Welcome back to another episode of Life with Lamb. Today I'm here with Chris.
Hello.
Sip Yip, how you going? Or now you're Chris
good.
Corpse Mango.
Yeah, RIP.
R.I.P. I know.
RIP, yeah.
Was that a hard transition?
Oh, nothing's that hard for me, I guess. It was alright.
Because I feel like Sip Yip's like
Yeah.
good Instagram handle.
Yeah, I think I'll collect it back on my other account and then like save it.
That's right. You have two accounts.
Yeah.
There was a period where like I was so confused which account was you. I'm gonna be absolutely honest. Like, yeah, because you were like Chris Yip, and then you were something else, and then yeah. Like it changed around so much. Oh my gosh. Thanks for lending me your time.
No worries.
Really appreciate it. How have you been?
I've been well. I've been happy.
Happy? That's
Yeah.
good.
No, I've been very nice.
Content?
Yeah.
Yeah. Life's good.
Yeah, just chilling. Nothing's bad. Nothing's fantastic, but good.
That's good. It's good to be at maintenance like that sometimes.
Oh man, I think it's like almost the best you can hope for. Because like if you're too happy, you know it's always gonna be followed by like.
You can't say that on the podcast. You can swear and everything, but you can't be advocating that. But no, I get what you mean. Like setting too high of expectations, or when you're riding the high, there's always going to be a low that sort of balances it out a little bit. But tell us a bit about yourself, like as a bit of context for the listeners.
Yeah. I'm Chris, powerlifting coach. Did 5 times bodyweight deadlift once. It was pretty cool.
Pretty good. That's it. Wow. Just the bang, snap like that. 5 times body weight deadlift.
Yeah.
That's crazy. I'm keen to unpack it.
Yeah.
I guess like in terms of providing context for the listeners, from my perspective, I saw Chris's Instagram pop up on my sort of like explore page or like the feed page in terms of like lifting 5 times body weight. When did you do it?
That was 2021.
Yeah.
August. Yeah.
Yep. So sort of like delving into the powerlifting scene, but not really, hadn't like committed to a coach yet. And the video just floated around a little bit and I just stalked your account and holy shit, it's crazy.
Appreciate that, man.
Yeah. I was just stalking you and then we've, I guess, crossed paths and been best friends since, you know? What was that like? What does it feel like to lift 5 times body weight?
Yeah, it was alright. Like at the time, like it was so planned that like it didn't mean anything to me. I mean, it did. It was cool, but it was like so planned, and I put so much into it that I came out of it. I was like, oh yeah, it's done. Finally, it was such a hard prep, man.
Yeah, really.
Oh,
Talk to us a bit about the prep. What was
man,
that all like?
It was just life sucking. Like I've always been someone who, if I really want to do something, I'll put everything into it. It's like literally, I'll just train, and it was a lot of training as well. I'd train, I'd eat, and I'd just lie in bed as much as possible. And coincidentally, it was in one of the lockdowns, in one part, I guess. And I had access to equipment, luckily. But I was just training, eating, and then just like lying in bed, and that's all I did.
Was it deadlift only, or was this a full?
Yeah, deadlift only.
Deadlift
it was like
only,
everything was made to be a perfect deadlift.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Gosh, that's like stars aligned almost.
Yeah,
in a way.
Oh mate, it was tough though. I strained my trap really bad at one point, like two weeks out.
Oh.
Tore the entire thumb skin off one side. So it was like, it wasn't perfect, but
Yeah, true.
I really wanted it. So like nothing would stop me.
Yeah, I can imagine. How old were you at the time?
23.
23. So you've pulled
22.
22 years old.
Yeah.
Pulling 350.
Yeah, 350.
At
70 kilos.
70 kilos. That's the maths.
Yeah.
5 times body weight. That's absurd. And you talk about it in a very just chill manner. Can you explain a bit about that?
I think if you put enough work into it, and if everything's pointed to that point, like I was always a good deadlifter, right? So like it always made sense to me that I'd pull something big. I'll probably pull bigger things eventually. Like so, it wasn't like surprising. It was exciting, but I wasn't like surprised by it. That's why I was like, okay, cool, I did it, because I put so much work into it. And I feel like whenever you put so much work into something, it's like, okay, it's more relief. You're like, okay, it paid off, rather than I did this work and it was like.
Yeah, true. Did you ever think that you wouldn't hit it?
No, I didn't let that thought get into my mind. Like people would say that to me and stuff, and I'd be like, no, and then I'd like, you literally have to block it out, because if there's doubt, obviously you're like, nah.
Yeah, literally. So I just checked the cameras. Crazy. Like that's such a strong mental to have, and I think, I guess as an athlete, or even just if you're working like a typical job, you know, like sometimes you let thoughts get into your head and all the sort of imposter syndromes coming through into your head. Like, can you talk to us a bit about what helped you sort of dispel those thoughts or get rid of them, or you just never really came across them?
Yeah, I think you have to come across them. Like, it's bound to happen. Like, if you're human. I don't know. I think I was told. I heard at one point. It was must have been like YouTube. It's like it was like someone's just saying like, oh, if you let the doubt creep into your mind, like it's just like it'll be the death of you. And like, I'm pretty sure like I heard that quote as well. Like, I don't know if you've seen the movie Dune.
Oh yes,
It's a great movie, right?
Yeah.
One of the quotes from the thing was like, what's the quote like about fear? Like, don't fear.
let's do a quick Google search. Yeah, Dune
Yeah.
fear quote.
Yeah.
Let's have a look. I must not fear. Fear is the mind killer. Fear is the little death that brings total obliteration.
Exactly. That's it. Like,
yeah.
That's literally like if you let it get into your mind and you've let it consume you, like you will fail. Like it will not happen.
Yeah, 100%. And when you talk about like consuming, like as soon as that little thought creeps in, it's just like it's probably game over.
It spreads. Yeah. It's once you have that doubt, you're gonna move less smoothly. You're not gonna put as much attention to it. You're literally gonna be focusing more on like, oh, what if I do fail, rather than like, oh, I'm gonna lift this weight.
It's that what if question that I think is probably the bane of everyone's existence, to be honest.
Yeah.
In terms of like, oh, what if I don't know, like I injure myself, or what if I drop the bar or something while I'm pulling it up.
Yeah.
So those thoughts never really cross your
No,
mind.
they do, but you learn to block them out. Like it's like meditation. You hear the thoughts, you don't judge them. You just let them pass through.
Let them pass through. Yeah.
And I'm not very good at that all the time, but when push comes to shove and I've put enough work in, like it comes very naturally. It's like, okay, maybe I won't get it. I don't care.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna do it. Like lift the weight.
Yeah. How many weeks prep did you have?
That prep was quite short. So that prep was like 5 weeks.
5 week prep.
It was really, because like at the start of that prep as well, I did 280 single at like RP10. And then I was like, okay, that's a bit weird. But then I buckled down, did all the volume. And then I just like, I convinced myself and I knew I'd hit it, and it happened.
Yeah. What were the, go ahead.
Oh no, please.
What were like the strategies leading into it? Like you had a coach alongside you, I assume.
I was coaching myself at the time.
Oh, you were coaching yourself at the time. Wow. Jeez. So what was your strategy going into it? You knew you had 5 weeks to go and wanted to pull 350. Was that the number that you just set in your
I was
mind?
like, I'd pulled 320 at that point on a stiff bar. And this wasn't a deadlift bar, there's 350. At that point, I'd pulled 320. It was pretty like, it wasn't easy. I could have pulled like 330 at the time. I feel like that was actually a much stronger deadlift than the 350 because it was on a stiff bar. But after that, I was like, okay, I'm going to do this meet. I can probably pull 350. Like I'm trying this deadlift bar out for fun. It's fun. Let me see if I can do this. And then I was like, okay, let me start doing this. Let's start doing the training. And then, yeah, I had a nutrition coach because I had to cut down into it a bit, like 2 kilos, which is like, doesn't sound like that much, but yeah, 2 kilos can be. You've done a weight cut?
I've done a weight cut before. It just it throws you out a lot, I think. Like numbers that you'd normally be hitting like almost close to warm up or anything. Like, yeah, it's just a bit rough.
And just, spending the days before like competing, like just feeling like absolute like garbage and like trying to like just get through that, enduring it. That sucks. But I had a nutrition coach. With my own training, I was just like, I was doing what I knew worked. And for me, I knew at that point, because I'd done it many times before, like a lot of volume, my body would just recover. Because like my leverages for sumo are quite good, I think.
Why is that? Talk to us a bit about it.
My arms are like long.
Super long.
Yeah. My hip mobility is actually not that good. I think it's okay. But I bypassed that through literally allowing my pelvis to posteriorly tilt, which is not a good thing to do. Because I do all these things with like so much back pain.
Okay.
And again, this is something I just tolerated at the time because I was like, oh, I want to do this. But obviously, eventually, it burns you out and you just kind of don't want to do it anymore.
So you noticed that you were like quite great leverage. Oh God, that's not English. But like you had great leverages for deadlifts.
Yeah.
And you were quite good at it. Was 350 always like on the cards? Like in terms of your lifting journey and everything, like was that the goal that you set yourself from the start?
When I started powerlifting, it was like mostly focused on deadlifts because I knew I was good at it. I didn't actually know my leverage was that good. I thought it looks pretty normal, but I knew I was good at deadlifting because like without any training almost, I could pull like 180. And then with like a few weeks training, I could pull 220. Like this was all conventional. And I was like, okay. Like I had the most dumb training as well. I'd max out every 3 days and I got to 220 and I was like, oh, cool, sick. But then the goal from there there was this deadlift record at like 66 kilos, 69 kilos, and it was 283. And I was like, okay, I want to break that. And I started training, broke that, and I was like, okay. I just went from there, essentially.
Yeah, and just went on a quest to find all the records to break and everything. Love to see it. Was there always, like, obviously there's a number in mind, but was there any, like, sort of extraneous variables that you wanted to hit? Like, you're a coach now. Like, had that always been factored in?
Yeah, exactly. And we spoke about this before, but essentially, like, when I dropped out of my 2 uni courses 3 years in a row, I was like, oh, I wanted to do some coaching, and I was like, okay, like why don't I like get a lot of clout from doing a bit of deadlift, just so I can like get some like get some easy clients to start the ball rolling, because I knew it was a very impenetrable business from the very beginning. I knew that like if you didn't have any like clout, or if you didn't have any like if you hadn't already been coaching already, it was very hard to penetrate the market. So I was like, okay, let me start this early, and I started from there, and that was like 3 years before I ever started like really coaching. Yeah,
it is a really saturated market in terms of like coaching and being a personal trainer. I think it's becoming really easy to get your certs as well online. Like you don't have to go to the seminars and get them and those sorts of things. So talk to us a bit about that. Like I had a podcast with Matt, and he talked about how he was like really struggling financially in terms of finding clients, and regular clients at that. Some would just pull out and pull the pin after a half-hour drive to the gym.
Yeah.
Like I guess from the outside, you always knew that it was impenetrable. Is that why you wanted to do the deadlifts? Like, I feel like it's so business-minded.
I don't know. I guess so. Yeah. Like, funny enough, when I first started wanting to coach, I actually reached out to Matt and asked him about how he got into coaching.
Yeah.
And he was telling me like, yeah, like you should get your certs, you know, and then just like maybe, I forgot exactly what he told me, but actually it's funny enough, I actually reached out to him. But yeah, I think maybe even he told me it was hard to get into him. I'm not sure anymore, but I think I just kind of assumed it would be, because like, it's kind of like a fun job, and there's not that many powerlifters. And so like, yeah, it's...
Yeah, what is the sort of journey to becoming a powerlifting coach for those that are interested?
It can be a really short journey. Like, you can literally just say you want to coach people, and then like get some free clients, and then start charging money, and then you're a powerlifting coach. But I think the hard part is getting people who want to get coached by you. And unless you have like some sort of reputation, like you've been coaching before, like getting the initial few clients, and then also just getting high quality clients. If you give free coaching, pretty much every client you'll get does not care. Like, they will potentially not train. They'll like just go off program all the time. Like, they just do not care because you're free. Like, that's the value that they perceive it to be, like free.
Yeah.
So does that kind of answer the question?
Yeah. 100%. And when you put it like that, I guess, like, yeah, it is free. So it's like, why do I need to stick to it, sort of thing? Yeah, 100%. What came about after you hit the 350, and what was that feeling like to you?
It was just relief. Like, I'd put all this work in. Like, I've been telling my friends and stuff like, oh, I can hit this. Like, it's gonna happen. And so I was like, okay, if I don't hit this, I'll look like an idiot. If I hit this, it'll be fine. Like, it'll be good. And I hit it, and I was like, okay, cool. Now I get a bit more clout.
Yeah. Let's talk about the day. What was it like? Was it a perfect day or not really?
Perfect day. It was a good day. It was a really bad prep. I'm not sure.
Yeah, we just talked about the prep. Like, you injured your trap, was it? And then you've ripped your thumb as well.
That's what I think caused a lot of anxiety. I literally had one thumb skin, and I was luckily enough I could use a medical tape and wrap it around so I could have something to hold onto the bar. And one of my traps was like very like quite badly aggravated. Like, I knew like, yeah, I might not get this because I might just tear my trap. But I was like, oh yeah, well, why not?
Jumping off topic, what has been your worst injury in terms of deadlifting and stuff?
Bro, I had this back injury in 2019 when I first started wanting to coach. And this was like a devastating time because I left uni and I was wanting to start coaching, wanted to get some clout. Hurt my back, couldn't deadlift a PR again for like 8 months. And that entire period, I was just like suffering. I had nothing going for me. I was just literally just like getting by every day. Like, that was the worst injury. Oh
God. Okay. We'll get into that in a little bit. And in terms of, you've pulled the 350, what happened after? Like, I assume you got a lot of clout.
I didn't get, yeah.
Not many people lift 5 times body weight. You were saying how many before you?
3.
3, that's right. Yeah. And you became the 4th one to lift 5 times body weight.
Ironically, I don't think actually that lift gave me that much clout. It was mostly like the lifts I did after.
Oh, okay, really? Yeah. Talk to us a bit about them.
Well, I at one point in time, when I was like posting on Instagram, when I really cared about getting more clout, I guess, I could post once and I'd get 500 new followers like instantly.
Jeez.
Because I just knew the exact angle that people would, like the hashtags you put, the exact angle to film from, like what people would think is most impressive. You know, I was just a little Asian dude deadlifting like 320 like on a very consistent basis, and that's when I got like literally like I went from 3,000 to like 7,000, like 5,000, or 2,000 to 5,000 followers in like 4 weeks.
Wow.
Just from like posting consistently big deadlifts, and that's when I got most of my actual clout, I guess.
Yeah. How did you discover like the hashtags and everything? Asking for a mate.
I literally, I don't think hashtags work anymore. I feel like it's like reels now.
Yeah, it's more reels now. Hey.
Yeah.
But back in, I don't want to say back in your day, but like back then, where hashtags like a really big thing.
The same way you like find out how to do anything. You just find who's doing it well, copy, paste. There you are.
That's it. Marketing 101, everyone. I love to say.
Paste.
Yeah, literally. So it was like the lifts after, and then
Yeah.
you featured on a few accounts. Is that right?
I, at that point, had been featured on King of the List like 7 times. Like, at one point, I was getting featured like every 2 weeks on like either Powerlifting Motivation or King of the List, which is 2 big ones. Or like, there's another one. I forgot what it is. Barbend.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So they're like probably the 3 big,
Yeah.
like powerlifting or like gym related
Yeah.
sort of content reposters.
Yeah.
Jeez. And did that garner attraction to, I guess, your account as well? Because they have to and credit the videos. Is that right?
Exactly. And I remember my first one was like 2020. And that took me from like 300 followers to 600, which I was like, oh, that's it. But then every reshare would get like 300 followers. Like, it got less over time. Like, at one point it was like 5 followers because like everyone already followed me.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it gives you a bit of clout.
Yeah. Amazing. Anything else?
What do you mean?
Like what else did you feature on?
Oh, lifting vault.
Talk to us or talk to the listeners a bit about what lifting vault is.
Lifting vault is just like a YouTube channel where like you essentially they feature like lifts that are impressive. And I guess I was on that. There was another one as well. I forgot what it was called.
Is it like a compilation? Is that what it is, or is it?
Yeah, I think some of them are.
Yeah.
I think there's actually 2 channels. I forget what they're called now, but one's lifting vault and there's another one
Yeah.
that features more compilations. Or maybe they used to do compilations. I think they did. Yeah, they used to.
Yeah, amazing. And with all this, like, sort of, like, we'll call it clout, what were you hoping to use it from it? Like, did you get a lot of clients from it, or?
I got no clients from it, actually.
Oh, really? Wow.
0, because you need to actually say you're coaching to get clients. But at that point in time, I didn't want to do it yet.
Fair.
Yeah. But, yeah, I got a lot of, like, potential leads. And that was the goal, to get potential leads that you could later filter to clients. But I did that. And then I didn't want to start properly online coaching yet because I didn't actually have any in-person experience. And I was like, okay, if you've never coached like that many people in person, like it's not gonna work.
Yeah, true.
So I got it. Yeah.
Yeah, you sound like you've had a plan from day dot, sort of thing.
Yeah.
Like, has that always been the case, or do you feel like it's all sort of fallen in quite naturally?
I think I had an idea, and then I was like, okay, let's just start doing it. And then the plan creates itself. Like it starts to become more obvious what you should do as you go along. Yeah. And then as I was gonna say, like I got a like in-person job, did that for a year, and I was like, okay, time to start like actually doing some online, which was the intention 3 years ago. What I'm doing now. And did that. Yeah,
nice. Funny how everything sort of just like lays itself out.
It looks pretty in retrospect.
Literally. Talk to us about those 3 years though. Like a bit of a grind for you, or
horrible.
Yeah.
Oh,
what was it like?
Well, yeah, especially when I was like super injured, right? I was talking injured my back for 8 months, like started my certs, I guess. But even that, like, and this was during all the lockdowns as well. So like, couldn't see friends. Didn't have that many friends anyway. But couldn't go outside. Could barely do anything. Was training in a garage with just a barbell in place, which thankful I had that at least. So I could only deadlift literally. So I had no option really. And then had nothing go for my life. It was like, you feel so lost, right? Like as many people do.
Yeah, 100%. It's the conversation around feeling lost and maybe just picking up something for the sake of having a job or having like monetary income coming through. What were you like in terms of high school? Had you always had your eyes on coaching, or was it something else?
Yeah, I had no eyes on nothing really. I was
which is fine, which is actually normal. Like we laugh about it, but
yeah,
it's completely fine to feel lost and confused as to what you want to pick up in high school. I just think 100%. We're so young and we're just being forced this narrative of, oh, so like, what do you want to do when you grow up? And like, it's a pretty innocent question sometimes, but
it's like too early specialization. Like,
literally.
Yeah.
I remember we talked about this before, but like family conversations started becoming like a bit intimidating for me in terms of that year 10 through to year 12 period where it was like, oh, so what do you want to do? Like, what's your goal? What's your plan? Like in terms of ATAR, job, uni, and like what you wanted to, where you wanted to take your life. And I was just like, I don't know, I'm just studying, you know, like I'm just enjoying life, like hanging out with friends, doing my own thing sort of thing. And yeah, it can be quite a difficult conversation to have. I don't know. Maybe I'm just being a bit dramatic over the question, but
no, 100%. Especially like if you definitely are in a place where you value your the opinions of your family and friends and everything. It definitely does matter a lot. But it's like, it's so funny, right? Looking back, like VCA was so stressful for no reason.
Yeah, it is. It's pretty like, yeah, for no reason, I guess. Like,
were you getting nightmares about like exams for like months after?
Nah, I didn't get nightmares, but like, I think I've been pretty stress-free my whole life in terms of that aspect, so very fortunate. But I can imagine like the amount of stress and trauma it can put on a lot of kids. Like just, oh, what if I fuck this up? And then there's the narrative of, oh, I'm not going to get into the uni that I want to, and I'm going to be a nobody, you know? But I guess in terms of school, you didn't really have like a vision or anything or no goals.
Yeah, essentially.
Did that, did that weigh down on you at all? Or did
absolutely.
You think, what was that like?
Well, I was essentially like that from, essentially when puberty hit me enough to that my brain was like somewhat matured. From that point on, probably 17 till 23, I was completely lost. I had no idea what I was doing with my life. That was probably the most painful period as well, where like you feel the most depressed because you have so like little purpose, and like you have really no skills essentially. You have nothing that you value.
Yeah, and what were the steps for you in terms of finding something that you valued or something that you were passionate about?
Yeah, well, I always knew I liked lifting, so I was like, I'll just keep lifting. This is all I have. I'll do it. And yeah, like, I guess luckily enough, I kind of made something of it in a sense. But yeah, I guess that's it.
You're gonna say, but
I'm not sure what I was gonna say really.
Okay, yeah, fair enough. All good. So you graduated high school. I assume you did like pretty well.
I did all right.
Did all right. Like for someone who didn't really have that sort of intrinsic motivation or even extrinsic sometimes where you're like, well, I have to do well, otherwise my parents are going to be disappointed in me, that sort of thing. Went into uni. What did you study?
I did arts.
Yes. And what was that like?
Arts was interesting. Yeah, so essentially, I don't even like writing. Why would I do arts? Don't even like English that much. I was just kind of good at it.
Yeah.
So I went into that, and like, because I came from a public school as well. So going to Melbourne to do arts, where everyone's come from private schools and they have money. They wear this like different kinds of clothes. I'm sure you've seen them. Like you know who they are, which is fine. But like I'm just not that kind of person. And just being there, having no friends, not wanting to do that course, horrible.
Yeah,
worst decision ever.
Yeah, I can relate with you in terms of the uni Melbourne experience. Sometimes it's like it can be pretty intimidating when you come from. I guess like not everyone comes from money, and a lot of people do work really hard to get into that position. But I can assume, I can attest or relate to a lot of private school people coming in and thinking they're a bit top shit.
It's like, and you also just can't relate to them because like they live such a different life. Like
and I think they fit this narrative of like go to high school, go to uni, and then go into the big wide world in the corporate job because they've already got maybe a father figure or a mother figure in these big four companies or in an established business where they can just step into a position. That's like assuming a lot of things. But yeah, I think times have changed a little bit. And in terms of finding your passion, it doesn't necessarily have to be through uni and this expectation of, oh yeah, maybe I'll go to uni and then go to this job and then I'll love it, you know? Because I think you have to go into it actually wanting to study it.
100%.
Yeah. And then you dropped out. Dropped out of arts. What was that like? What were the parents' reactions?
Oh, parents didn't care. Because I dropped out of arts with the intention to go into nursing. So my dad was actually really happy. He was like, nice. Thank God. Like, he saved himself.
Why nursing?
Well, I was told that it would be like a good job to work. Like, it's in high demand, especially now with COVID. Like, psychologist nursing would be perfect, right? So it would have been actually great. But also just like, I had no desire to do anything else. I had no purpose. I had no passion for anything really. I liked lifting, but even that was like, whatever. So like, yeah, it was like, I'll just do this while I lift, have some fun while lifting, and then like get a job in nurse. Hate it, but cop shit. Just like, I'll cop it later.
Yeah. Fair enough. And then how long did nursing last?
6 months.
6 months. Fair. Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, not crazy actually. It's like really refreshing that you found that perspective of like, hey, this isn't actually for me. I don't like it. Did you face any like judgment or anything for dropping out, or did you? Is that when you felt the most lost or sort of like incompetent maybe, or were you like
100% felt the most lost because I was like, I've just wasted 2 years after high school. Everyone's like doing their courses, whatever. Like I know people like becoming doctors or whatever. I'm just fucking sitting in my room.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. Yeah. It can be really hard because you feel that the world is revolving really quickly around you because everyone's like completing their degrees and like you see them graduating and becoming doctors and stuff. So I can totally sympathize with the feeling of being lost.
100%.
Yeah.
It's okay as well.
Exactly. It's 100% okay. And I think it's almost, it's toxic, but like that's good that they're graduating and everything and doing their own thing and succeeding in that aspect. But I can totally empathize and also sympathize with the kids who maybe found out like, hey, this isn't for me, and dropped out, and then they see everyone else sort of succeeding. But do you have any sort of advice or tips for people feeling that way, who might be watching friends or people, I don't know, mutuals maybe, still on this streamlined path, but maybe you've just taken a step back from it?
I've always thought to myself, like, why would you rush on like a journey to like somewhere you don't want to be? It's like if you're working so hard to get this job that will look good and will pay well, but you don't want to do it and you're gonna hate life. You've just gotten there faster for no reason. Like, why don't you just go somewhere where you want to go? And we live in this like very privileged country as well. We live in Australia. Exactly. You can do things that you want to do.
100%.
You don't have to like become a farmer and like make bread, which isn't like nothing wrong with that. But yeah, why would you not just chase what you should and want to do? And like delay it until the end. Yeah,
I love that so much. I always forget like the privilege that we have to be in Australia, and like this whole conversation about going into uni is like such a privilege to even like be having this conversation. Like the fact that I'm studying at a really prestigious university and have the opportunity as well, and maybe I'm not enjoying it, and someone in a different country might be like dying to have my position. I do forget about that. So you make a really great point in terms of like, if we have time to sort of do what we want. And I think the narrative around no, you have to go streamline straight away has to sort of change, because I think a lot of us get caught in that stream.
100%. I think everyone does. Yeah. But I think, you know, like the kids in high school, you're like, like they say like, I'm going to go to TAFE, I'm not going to do uni, I'm going to take a gap year. You're like, you're crazy. Like, what are you doing? Yes. They were the woke ones. They're like, they know already. This
is what I'm coming to realize as well. Like, I have the utmost respect for all of them, because they just knew that it wasn't for them and that they wanted to do something else. And now they're probably going into, let's just say like carpentry. The demand for carpentry is going to be always there because people need houses fixed and shit fixed, you know, like, they're very woke, you know? And the fact that they had the confidence to, step aside and be like, well, this isn't for me, and sort of cop the flack, because I was to be honest, I was one of those kids that was like, well, what are you going to do with your life, sort of thing? Like, oh, you're not going to uni? Like, jeez, what is wrong with you? You crazy person. You're not going to have any future or anything. And they're probably doing better than me at the moment. Yeah. But so, it's such an interesting discussion in terms of like finding your why and the narrative that we're fed as well.
I think it's like, I don't think about this kind of thing anymore, because like it's been a while since I've been like out of high school, right? Like I'm 24, I'm not that old, but I feel like it's been like a lifetime ago that I was in high school. But like, it's for people who are around that sort of age. Like you're very young, surprisingly, because you're so like mature.
I appreciate it.
Like I guess for you guys, like it'd be so like overwhelming and like such a prevailing sort of thought in your mind. Like, what am I doing and where am I going?
Yeah, 100%. And this is probably why I've like picked back up the podcast. I started in year 10 just as like a bit of a piss take, like just sat around the microphone with a couple of friends just chatting shit. But I feel like I've found like an actual direction and narrative that I want to push out to an audience as well. It's like, take the time to really just sit back and think of what you actually want to do, instead of jumping into a high prestigious university or institution that probably doesn't care about you.
Yeah.
Refers to you as a number, and saps a lot of money out of you. Like, you're in debt for a long time.
It's actually propaganda, bro. Like, it's propaganda that they make you think that you should go to uni.
Exactly.
So you get more money.
Yeah, 100%. And well, capitalism. No, but yeah, it's like, well, because look at you. You're, I guess, what people think is not ideal.
Yeah.
You know, like, and no offense. Sorry.
No, it's fine.
No offense. Because they're looking at you, they're like, oh, well, you're doing arts. Yeah. That's already looked down upon at university. And then you've transferred to nursing. That's probably a bit better, but not much better, you know? And then you've dropped out and they've been like, well, like, what are you doing?
No, literally, man. I even thought that to myself, like, oh, what the fuck?
What's this? Exactly. And then now you've like picked up coaching and probably doing like really well for yourself.
I'm happy, and that's like what we should aim for, right?
Yeah.
Not necessarily like happiness, but fulfillment and being happy to wake up and work. Like if your work's that much of a drag, man, like you're bound to be depressed. To be honest.
Yeah, 100%. Talk to us about sort of maybe the patch after you dropped out of uni, you sort of like made the decision to finally pull the plug.
Yeah.
Did you look back at the 2 years and wonder like where's all this time gone, and like I'm falling really far behind? And what were your thoughts surrounding it? I'm gonna change the cameras as well.
100%. Oh, am I still going? Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I feel like that period, like right after uni, like first year, second year, third year, you feel the most urgent. You feel like everything like needs to be done soon because you're comparing yourself to people like, oh, they're doing well, they're finishing up. You know, I knew people who were graduating when I was starting my Cert 3-4, I guess. I was like, wow, I'm a loser. What am I doing? But it's like, that's when you feel the most lost, and that's okay. Like, it was horrible. Like, those years, devastating. Like, but it's obviously all worth it in the end, luckily for me. And it kind of reminds me, like, I used to train out of Culture, and I'd come in at really weird times where, like, Jamie's mum, who's the owner of Culture, would come in, and she'd be, like, cleaning and stuff, and I'd just be, like, sitting there training by myself, like, wondering what I was doing with my life. And she'd come in, and one time she said to me, like, oh, Chris, you know, it's okay if you feel lost on, like, your journey to, like, doing what you want to do. And, like, that almost made me cry at the time, because I was like, oh, that's literally exactly what I needed. It's like, I felt so lost. You know, I felt like I was wasting my life away. I felt like I was going to get nowhere with it. And then this nice, brilliant lady comes in, and she's like, oh, like, it's okay. Like, this is okay. Like, it's okay to feel lost. I feel like that's what a lot of people need to hear is, like, it's okay to feel lost. It's okay if you feel like nothing's going anywhere. Because, like, as long as you keep putting in work, eventually it should work out.
I love that so much. That's my clip. That's my clip right there. But yeah, I love that so much. And I think the fact that you're hopping on a podcast now and spreading that message would be so reassuring to so many people out there. And so many people need to hear that it's okay to not know what you want to do. And it's okay that you're maybe like not interning at all these big firms that maybe all your friends are applying to. And it's okay that maybe you want to take a break from uni because it's a bit too much at the time. And maybe it's not for you at the moment. Like, it's okay.
Yeah, 100%.
It's fine, and we're all gonna make it. Lol.
Yeah,
exactly. And I think time or your age is such a like inhibiting factor in a way, because people look at you and you're like, oh well, you're 27 and maybe you're still trying to find what you want to do, you know? Yeah. And it's like, well, there's nothing wrong with that. Like, I'm still trying to be happy in life, and I think what trumps all the money and working and all that stuff is probably happiness. And are you actually feeling fulfilled in what you're doing right now? And are you fulfilled in the direction that your life is heading? And are you making the steps to sort of ensure that that's happening as well? It's
actually really funny how, like, training is very much a microcosm of, like, real life, where in training, like, if you think about just what's happening in the next few months, you'll always, like, fail. But when you think about what's going to happen in, like, the next 2 years and what your plan is, like, you'll actually have periods of time where you're, like, training to just build muscle and get, like, your body in the right place. And it's the same with life, right? If you think more sort of macro term, like, think what's going to happen in the next 5 years, you're probably going to be in a much better place than if you're worrying about what's going to happen in the next few months and you're just, like, sticking to what is going to be okay just so you don't have to, like, face the potential regret, like, through that period of that 5 years.
I'm so glad you've verbalized that, because I've never found the words to do so. But I just think, training is such a, like, microcosm. Microcosm, exactly, for life. And like, you look at all the training blocks that you do and all the months of work that you put in. If you look at it just there and you're like, oh well, I don't really want to hit just this number. And it's like just this is like that sort of wording. Then you're not really going to succeed as an athlete in the future. Like, you'll have to look at it and sort of zoom out and scope out as to where is my lifting going to head? You know, like, if after I complete this block, maybe I'll have a bigger number to reach as well. And then that's with life as well.
Yeah,
100%. I love it so much in terms of, like, we're forced this narrative to think, oh, so what do you want to do in high school? These subjects. What do you want to do in uni? Oh, I need to get this ATAR to get into uni. And then from uni, what do you need to do? It's like step. It's so, like, short-termed and short vision. Yeah, it's very much like, you need to do this. Yeah. You need to do that. And it just doesn't have to be that way at all.
100%.
Yeah. Oh, love it, Chris. So good.
No more nihilism.
Yeah, no more nihilism.
By the way, what I said at the start, like, where things could go down, it's more like, it sounds really sad, but it's more like, enjoy the good moments, but realize that, like, it doesn't always last. Same as PRs and stuff. You hit PRs, it's fantastic. Enjoy it. You know, very much cherish it, because at some point you might have a drought of PRs for a while, and it happens. It's okay.
Exactly. Yeah. It's okay. That's going to be
redeeming myself.
Yeah, exactly. Redeeming. Give that PR a revenge or something, you know, redemption arc. So yeah, you talked to me a bit about like how you were a bit introverted in high school while we were off air and in our first take. What sort of flicked the switch in terms of like, hey, I want to do coaching?
Yeah. Well, that's the thing, right? Like being an introvert, it seems like it'd be a really bad idea to go to coaching, but it only depends on like the situation that you're in, right? Like if I was doing in-person coaching, like becoming a PT, probably wouldn't work. You'd have to talk to people too much. Yeah. But being online, like you're on a computer behind a screen, like it's more limited as to like when you're talking to people face to face or when you're like in front of a screen recording something. You can type a lot more stuff, and that's a lot less like energy draining because I don't have to put up a face of like, oh, I'm so happy.
No, I love that, and I think that's a really refreshing perspective because yeah, it's hard. I work retail. I have to put on like a hey, how you going? You know, like sort of persona all the time, and sometimes you just want to like type out something or or just like not have to behave a certain way. So yeah, I love that perspective. So you found like comfort sort of in analyzing and giving feedback, but through like
I liked coaching. Online. I didn't like the idea of having to be always face to face and always like putting up a face, and because if you look at me through everyday life, if I won't laugh unless I'm like find something funny or I'm really happy or like find something amusing. And that can come across as quite bad sometimes because, like, if I'm just saying, I'm quite blunt as well. If I just say something where I think it can kind of look quite bad, and that's why, like, that's why I'm more introverted. Is I have to kind of like conceal some of these thoughts and some of these like expressions to make it seem a little bit more pleasant. Whereas, online obviously you don't have to fake everything.
Yeah,
fake everything. But,
no, I actually really love that, and I think like it's kind of sad that you have to conceal it. Yeah, the fact that. As a society or as you know like as a generation, sometimes like we can't handle someone being blunt. Yeah, and it comes across as like offensive or like rude in some way. And it's like in life you don't have to be nice to absolutely everyone. Like yes, it's good to be a good person. Yeah, you know, but you don't have to be like all happy, smiley, giggly. Like sometimes there are lows as well.
Well, it's not even like being a good person because like nice is just like how you seem from the outside. Like you can be pleasant, but if you really want attention, you can sound like an arsehole. You'll help someone out in the end.
Yeah, true.
But that's what being a good person is, right? Like,
yeah, 100%. And it's sometimes it's hard to see because like maybe it's not like coming across for that person.
Yeah, as well. In the moment.
Yeah. Have there been experiences when you're like coaching and maybe it hasn't come across the right way?
Oh, bro, surely. Like there's probably been especially when I was working in person in the gym, I'm sure there's tons of people who are like, wow, this guy's an arsehole. I was just trying to like help them with their technique or whatever. Yeah. So 100%. But yeah, well, obviously that's why I prefer online and that's why I also prefer like getting my own clients in a sense because if they know a bit about me, then they know that I'm already that way, and so they won't expect something different. Yeah.
There's that like screening period, sort of thing.
I talk to them and they know.
Yeah,
hopefully.
Yeah, exactly, and probably their loss if they're heading out. You know.
Oh yeah, I guess. Like no, they'll find someone more appropriate.
Exactly. I mean, it's like each to their own. Like you got to find like who works for you and everything. I want to know about your tattoos actually. Oh, because they're sick.
Oh, thanks, man. Yeah, I got a few tattoos.
Yeah, you have a few. Like, you got 2 sleeves.
Yeah, that's it. That's just 2 sleeves.
It's just 2 sleeves, yeah. Nothing else on, like, body or anything?
I've got one tattoo on my ankle.
On your ankle?
5X. It
says what, sorry?
5X, like 5 times body weight.
Oh, okay. Oh. Yeah.
Yes. Which Yan did. I don't know if you've interviewed her. Do you know Yan?
Nah.
Okay, don't worry then. It's just some...
Yeah, is that... Yeah, like, should we get Yan on the podcast?
Yeah, you should.
All right, Yan, if you're listening... Podcast, you and me. Was there any inspiration behind it? Or were you like, these are sick?
Great question. I think up until this point, I've always told people like they have like no meaning, which they kind of don't in a sense. I got them in a period of time where I was very lost, and like I guess if you're lost in your head, you want to kind of. I think especially when you're young, you chase something that looks like something. Like I think you're always chasing to be someone, and I think getting tattoos is a way to like look a certain way and appear like you're a certain way, like you seem a bit cooler, I guess. Without having to actually like build as much of a personality when you just kind of don't have that at the time. So I consider the tattoos to like seem a bit cooler. But like in it, that in itself is the meaning, right? I got this at a time where I was in this state and I got this certain style because I didn't want to look like a certain way. And at the time, a lot of people were getting like really realistic tattoos. And I was like, oh, like I've always been like a bit of a joker. So I just like pick a style that looks like a bit funny, a bit like gender neutral. And I was like, oh, let's get that.
Yeah. Love it. How much did it set you back?
Oh, too much, man. I don't even think about it anymore.
Okay, no worries. We'll skip over it. Yeah. Well, you're a walking investment now, so
Yeah.
Yeah, love to see it. You got a lot of surface area for the arms. Nah, they're sick. I love it. Maybe we'll get into some questions.
Yeah.
Got a few from the listeners. Thank you very much. My mum wanted to know what your secret to lifting so much weight is,
Oh,
especially your deadlift.
just like some things I'm like, oh, can I say this on air? Like, it's like literally put everything into it and be angry. And the only way you're going to put everything into it and be angry is if you don't have a girlfriend. So you're single and you're kind of lonely and you have no purpose in life. And then, wow, that's so sad.
That is pretty sad. Holy shit. I didn't realize you were going to take that.
So if you have enough motivation, and that's the motivation sometimes, which it shouldn't always be, but for a lot of people who powerlift, I know it is because I've spoken to them. But if you just have enough drive to do it and you put everything into it and you have a good plan, you know what you're doing, and you have like good recovery, you're sleeping a lot, you're not doing anything that takes to your external recovery that much, and you have, decent diet, you should be able to do it.
What's your recovery like?
Okay, it's not as good as it should be, and it's been better. But during the periods of time where I'm really maximizing things, literally like a monk. Like, monks don't do anything really. Like, they meditate, they clean, and if like it's like a Shaolin monk, they do kung fu.
Yeah.
I was pretty much like that, or you try to get as close to that as possible. Like, it was during lockdown where I did some of these big lists. I wasn't really working, so just sleep, eat, and then for the rest of the day lie down and just build tension in my brain for a big lift.
Wow.
So it's really boring, hey?
Yeah,
It's
yeah. It's nothing like extravagant or like like foam rolling or
that stuff is important too, but
yeah,
the bulk of it's just like sleeping and recovering well.
yeah, and probably just letting your body like actually physically rest. Yeah. Okay, love that. Andrew wanted to ask how you still have a working spine.
Debatable. No, it works. It's I don't know. I'm lucky. My torso is not very long, so I think I've always had a really strong back, which is miraculous how I've broken my back so many times. It really just demonstrates like how bad some of the training sessions I did early on were to have broken my back like that. But yeah, I'm lucky.
Yeah, amazing. Well, because describe your deadlift technique, because I feel like you're very upright when you deadlift, especially for like a sumo lifter, because I know Matt tells me to lean more over the bar than sink in. Like, describe your deadlift technique a little bit.
I wouldn't say I'm that upright. I think I'm always comparing myself to like the best, like the people who are like completely pin upright.
Yeah, just pin upright and they just stand it up. Well, I feel like when I watch your videos or like how you've deadlifted, you seem pretty, relatively upright. Yeah. Yeah. So is there any means behind that? Like, did that take a long time to figure out like, hey, maybe this is the leverage for me?
I think it was a lot of reps. Like, I've probably done more reps on sumo deadlift than like 3 separate humans combined if they pull sumo, like genuinely in a very short period of time. Wow. And so your body kind of molds into what a position is going to be most efficient. And I think that kind of like molded me into the position I'm in, where despite having no hip mobility, my pelvis really tilts, which gives me more external rotation in my hips. My thoracic is rounded, which allows me to have like artificially longer arms than I actually should. And so the combination of being flexed in my like lumbar and pelvis and then flexed in my upper back just allows me to get more upright, even though I shouldn't be in that position.
Interesting.
I'm not recommending this to anyone because the amount of excruciating back pain I've had in my lifetime is incomprehensible. Like, genuinely, like that prep that I did for 350, after that prep, thinking about having to do another prep, I literally started crying one because I was like, wow, I don't want to do that again. That was so painful, so life-sucking. Oh, wow, this is a bad podcast now.
No, it's not. No, it's interesting because like I think it's very glorified. Like, oh, sorry, actually that was bad as a host. But you know, it's sick that you have a 5 times body weight deadlift record. But like the sacrifice that you would have had to make,
it is glorified. It's so painful. And oh man, like you really need to want to do it because I got no money from that. I got barely any like notoriety. It was cool. That's it. Literally, it was cool. And I put my body through so much damage and pain, my mind through so much torment just to do that. And like, it's good in a way. Like, if you can tough out tough things, it's always going to be a good life skill. But if it's worth it, if I want to do that again, like, I don't know, would you? Like, that sounds horrible.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like you built a lot of resilience from it, or just just you were so determined to get that 350 up. Yeah. That I guess nothing else really mattered
at the time. But we could make like 10 different podcasts talking about this kind of thing. But that's what led to so much burnout in my late years. Like, this entire 2022 was like the year of burnout for me.
What was that like? Talk to us about that.
To put it brief, like, just like, I don't even know. Like, you just don't want to do the same thing anymore. Because it almost becomes like another depression where like if you don't want to do what you previously enjoyed, that is like almost the definition of a depression. And then this is your career as well, so you have to do it. Like all your job is associated with it. Coaching, obviously it is. So then it becomes like this really negative spiral. Like I don't want to do this anymore, but I have to. And then you just hate it even more and more. And obviously now, like I kind of like lifting. Like even now when I came in, I was like, oh, I kind of want to do some bodybuilding for a bit. But yeah, like.
Have you given it much thought in terms of that? Like, have you planned ahead even from now? Like maybe one day you maybe want to step aside from powerlifting or something.
Yeah.
It's a pretty deep question. That's literally the exact question that I was like, don't stop asking everyone. Like, oh, what do you want to do in the future? You know, but yeah, like, have you given it much thought?
I think powerlifting you can probably do till like you're about 35. Well, especially like if you do everything right, and then after that point it starts to like depreciate and like you start to kind of just, if you're a male, I would say, probably like, unless you're like enhanced, probably starts to get a bit weaker. So I think it's probably at that point where I'll just pivot and just do something else maybe, like just generally get fitter and stuff. But yeah, I think it's like a portion of how much, it's like a percentage of how much of your year you're doing powerlifting. And I think right now that percentage is just getting less and less over time, where like maybe now I only want to do like 70% powerlifting and 30% bodybuilding. Whereas when I get older and older, it's going to be like 10% powerlifting, 90% bodybuilding. If that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
sort of, yeah, it ratios itself
Yeah.
out. Yeah. Amazing. Alrighty. Ethan asks, how have you dealt with being oh God, I can't read. Ethan asks, how have you dealt with the pressure of being primarily seen as a deadlift specialist?
Which Ethan is this?
Ethan Liu. Oh no, Ethan Mack. I just read his Ethan Liu lifts.
Yeah.
Ethan Mack.
Well, that's, man, again, like these could be like entire podcasts, but like not super well, I guess. Like I've kind of like overcome it a bit now, where like I did spend the last year becoming a little bit better at squat and bench, like a lot better actually. But literally when I started not wanting to deadlift as much anymore and I wanted to bring on my squat and bench, followers just keep going down. And so it's so like mentally taxing. Again, it comes back to like, it drains you a bit. But at this point, I'm happy to like just cop lost followers. I don't really care.
So you've lost followers because
100%, yeah.
Oh wow, okay.
But it doesn't really matter in the end. Like they're just followers.
It's just a number.
Yeah.
I guess. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's a bit rough though. Like what? So you started posting your bench and squat, and they started.
At one point I just completely deactivated my Instagram because I was like, oh, I just don't want to see this anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is obviously the birth of Kachari's Yai.
Oh my gosh. So it's getting better, or it's gotten to the point where you're like, well,
I think the year of 22 was spent like, what is the word I'm looking for? Like becoming okay with like that and becoming okay with not being who I was in 2021 or every other year before that.
I guess like, yeah, you aren't ever your past self, and people change, and sometimes, you're at like a high, and then you're probably, you still are at a high, you know, like it just matters in terms of like the perspective, and sometimes it's really hard to deal with, especially when you're like, oh, I'm a 5 times bodyweight deadlifter, but then now it's like
4.
Which is still fucking awesome.
Now I'm a 3.9.
No, but it's like you're building a community now. Like you're Chris from Corpse Banger.
And it's like coming back to the long term thing, like right. It's had a bad year maybe, but it's just 1 year. Like what about 3 years from now? Where do you want to be then? And you have to like negotiate with yourself. Like, do I want to maximize short term? Because I could have kept deadlifting a lot of weight and just kept being that person, but or do I want to let go of that, let everything die down for a while, but then come back and be someone else?
Yeah, love it. And is that where the Corpse Manga sort of fits in for you, or is that how did that all turn out, or how did that all pay?
Yeah, great question. Like, you know what I mean? Like changing my name out of Scipio.
Yeah. So what is Corpse Manga?
Corpse Manga is a coaching brand from the owner is Liris Sukitra. Yeah, and I just work under him.
Okay.
So
nice.
Corpse Manga is
their brand.
Coach.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say it's related to that.
Okay,
yeah.
Amazing. Sorry, just doing a deep dive. Peter Mai asks, how do you care for your own mental health, and how does it transfer to your athletes?
How do I care for my own mental health? How do I transfer my athletes? So as a coach, you're kind of like part mentor, part teacher. I think having your own experience of dealing with things like burnout and dealing with like what works well and what doesn't work, which I know very well what doesn't work, like it allows you to be like a few steps ahead of your clients, like a few years maybe even ahead. So I think, how do I manage my personal mental health and how does that transfer to my clients? Like learning the lessons of what is fulfilling in powerlifting and like what actually helps you and what isn't fulfilling and what is not going to lead to the right result, I think you kind of can tailor your own coaching to actually suit like that a bit better and like teach your clients that they have these goals, but pushing themselves that hard or doing this or doing that might not lead to the path that they want to go down. I think it's probably hard answer that.
Yeah. Wow. Deep question, that one.
Yeah.
Do you have like a routine or anything in terms of your training? Like, recovery or like meditation, is a big thing currently. Like, do you do any of that?
I should meditate. I've been wanting to meditate for a while. I definitely should. I don't do any meditation. I probably should. I do things to take my mind off like things in life. I play Tetris, I told you.
Yes.
I've been smashing Tetris, but it's just putting your mind on one thing to distract yourself from everything else is, I think, a good way to kind of like take your mind off things. What meditation kind of helps you do, like being more mindful to that one thing. I think it kind of does the same thing, but through a different means. Do I have a routine? Not that good of a routine, really, to be honest.
Fair enough. Brody asks, do you love Naveed or Andrew more? Parents always have their favorites.
I love them both equally.
Yeah, love that. Good. Politically correct answer. Love that.
I do love them both equally.
Yeah. Brody, that's not very nice, man. You can't be picking favorites here. Muna asks, what was the change that made you see a real jump in progression? I guess this is towards your deadlift, maybe. Yeah.
I think it's just doing the right thing, like understanding what you're actually doing, understanding how to actually train properly, and understanding like how to really train just in general, like understanding what fatigue is, how much fatigue you should really endure, how to really maximize your recovery, how to maximize your diet to allow for that as well, which obviously is an aspect of recovery, and then just how to train for you, like because everyone will respond to some different training, and it can be extremely individualized as well. Like if I give my program to like 99% of people, or what I did when I delivered 350, like they would die, like it would not work. But obviously just understanding what works for you as an individual is what's important.
Yeah. How many days a week were you training?
I was training 4 days a week.
4 days a week. Oh, and you were doing like what? Describe the block, I guess.
Well, my non-deadlift days were actually all right. They were they were almost recovery days. I was just getting a bit of quad volume through, keep doing a bit of benching so I doesn't die too much when I like come back to it. But my deadlift days was really excruciating, and that was like I'll do a top single, and that top single alone would take me like an hour to warm up to, because it'd be like 3:30, it'd be at 3:20, 3:40, 3 like it'd take ages, and then I'd do like a top set of maybe 5, and then I'd do like a 5x10, like, or maybe a top set of 10 and then a 5x10 or something. So like 6 sets of 10.
Yeah.
And I was losing like quite a bit of weight as well, like
you're putting your body through
250 and stuff, like yeah, bro, your spine.
Oh my god.
And the position I was in wasn't ideal either.
Yeah.
So it's like the pain.
So how did you like mend your body after that? Like, was it lots of just like physio appointments, like massage? Like, what was that all like?
Well, if you know the cause of the issue, like you just stop doing it. So stop deadlifting with that much volume. Stop lifting in that position.
Yeah.
Or at least as frequently.
Yep.
And now my back is quite like tolerable with the pain, and as well as just gaining muscle, so you don't have to rely on leverage as much. Obviously, like good off-season thing that we spoke about, like long term.
Yeah, love that. James asks, does it even feel like you're holding it in your hands when you're lifting it?
Yeah, that's a great question, actually, because it kind of doesn't, hey? Like, I kind of don't feel it in my hand itself. I feel it in, like, my neck and my back.
Yeah. Oh, my gosh. You hook grip, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So my hook grip is one of probably my biggest talent as a powerlifter.
Yeah.
It's like, my hook grip is just impenetrable. Like, I can hold anything.
Jeez.
Bit of chalk.
Hold my hand, man. Amazing. Jess asks how to grow long arms.
I don't know, dangle on a tree.
Dangle on a tree. Love to see it. Do your parents have long arms?
No, they don't. That's so weird.
Oh, so like genetically, it's just.
I don't even think my arms are that long. I think it's really my ability to like pull myself into like. So my arms here. If I protract though and like flex my thighs again, like I gain like way more. My range in that is what gives me long arms. Yeah.
Amazing. Very interesting. And like you learn that as a lifter as well, like how to maximize your leverages and stuff.
You can even create it if you really wanted to, like, and it's quite damaging for your body, but if you do enough work, like with your scapular retractors and everything, very lengthened, so you don't do any rows where you really like pull back, your muscles will start to orient themselves in a position where your pecs get super tight and your arms kind of pull longer and longer, and your natural posture is more there. And then if you just have more range there and you're naturally there, that's where your body locks into when you deadlift. And that's like the secret to, if you really want to change your leverage for the deadlift.
Is that a path that you've explored?
I didn't do it intentionally, and it is very damaging for the body.
Okay.
Because your body always likes to be in the middle. You put yourself there, you're squatting bench, down the drain. Like you can't get into position with the squat because your mobility gets worse. Your bench, your shoulders become more unstable because you're stuck in more protraction.
Yeah, that's true because like I guess the art of powerlifting is balancing those 3 lifts.
Yeah. Exactly.
And like with bench, obviously you have your scapular retraction on the bench, where you're like trying to generate this arch so that you minimize your range of motion. Whereas deadlift, like you're trying to like hunch forward a little bit so that you can, I guess, have a bit more length through the arms as well.
Yeah, and you can be dynamic in both, but if you really want to be like a one-trick pony,
dangerous path.
Also, like being in lockdown, only deadlifts, you just become that.
Yeah,
I only knew in retrospect why I was so like, why I couldn't put my seatbelt on anymore.
Oh, really?
Yeah, my shoulders got so hunched. You lose external rotation. I couldn't actually reach back to put my seatbelt on.
Did you have to like turn around to?
I had to like, you had to like
turn around to get your seatbelt.
Hadn't driven in like 4 months. I was like, okay, that was weird.
Oh my gosh! Yeah. Wow, that's so interesting. Oh my god.
Oh man, like, yeah, doing this kind of shit does things to your body.
Awesome. I'm gonna press that. Oh no, never mind. Oh good. Christina or
Christina Mercer.
Oh, okay. Christina Mercer. Thank you. Who do you see as the next up and coming powerlifter? Anyone on your radar?
Joe Borenstein in America. He's not even up and coming. He's already strong, but he's just an absolute phenom of human. Like he's deadlifting like 340. He's 75s. 340 deadlift, like 255 squat, like 190 bench, like monster.
That's monstrous.
Indestructible. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Amazing. Who's your inspiration lifter?
Funny enough, like when I first started like wanting to build a big deadlift, and that's really like what most of my powerlifting career has been. I looked up to JP Kalki, and I deadlifted more than him. I looked up to another guy after that, and I kind of deadlifted more than all of them.
Just so awesome. You're your own inspiration.
Yeah, no one really.
Yes. Awesome. Alrighty. Warm up prior. Oh, what is your warm up? Or dude, where is my lifts? Or Miko asks, what is your warm up routine prior to lifting and choosing like warm up weights for a top set? And that's something that I'm pretty interested in as well, because like you're lifting a monstrous amount of weight. Like, what's the routine like, and what are the weights that you're sort of setting for yourself?
We'll rewind it back to like sales lifting 340. Okay. At the time, and this is not saying advice. Again, like my experience has taught me what I shouldn't do, but I didn't do any like actual warm-ups, like mobilization or anything, which has led my adductors actually be really tight now, and they're so tight now. I actually struggle to hit squat depth. Like that's another thing deadlifting a lot of volume will do is your glutes and your adductors with sumo at least will get so tight. You don't actually have as much mobility anymore. That's why my deadlifts actually went down a bit over time because they got so tight they couldn't get into the same position. But you should do that. So warm your adductors, do some stretching through that, maybe do some foam rolling if that helps you. In terms of the actual jumps, I'd go plate. So 70, 120, 170, 220, 270, 300, 320, and then 340 or whatever else.
Wow. Okay.
So it's plate.
Plate. Yeah, you're a plate lifter. I mean, when you get to like those sorts of weights, I feel like that's probably what makes sense.
But to give you a good answer, like it's individual to everyone. Like, you can probably like find some sort of percentages that work for you, but generally 2 rules: the load should get, or as you get to the heavier weight, the reps should go down, obviously, and the jump should get smaller. So you can probably go like 70 to 120. But if you went up to like 20 kilos, don't go like 170. You should probably go 150.
Yeah.
170.
Yeah, love it. The flexing physio asks, what are your top 3 recovery tips?
Like literally
being a monk.
Being a monk, man. Don't have any friends. Just like have a good diet, have good sleep, and also like if you really, really want it, you can become a monk. But that's a very short-term strategy. Like you'll burn out so fast because you have no friends, but it will work.
Yeah, love it. He also asked, what would your last meal on earth be? It's a good question.
What would yours be?
Gosh, I don't even know. Oh, that's a hard one. Probably a bowl of pho or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. Something hearty.
Oh, banh mi. I love banh mi so much.
Oh, good shout. That's a good call. What are you, a pork eater? Chicken?
Yeah, like crispy pork.
Yeah, crispy pork. Nice.
Are you Vietnamese?
I'm not.
Okay.
I just love pho. So good, man. Holy crap. Alrighty. Already asked that. Already done that. Oh, Richard asks, why powerlifting over other sports?
Because I'm not good at other sports. Yeah, no, seriously. Like, I don't like team sports because I don't like relying.
I'm the exact same. Yeah. Holy shit.
You don't want to be disappointed by it because someone else didn't do something right. You want to be disappointed yourself.
Yeah.
Feels much better.
Yeah. And you're self-determining your outcome.
Exactly.
And your journey. Yeah.
But also, like, I'm actually a very bad athlete. I have really bad coordination. And Jess is an example of someone who's a really good athlete because she, my girlfriend, is very mobile. She's got like really good rotation, which is facilitates good performance in most sports. I have, if you look at me now, like almost no rotation. My spine doesn't really rotate very well. So that, having bad rotation, bad coordination, and I don't like other people.
No, fair enough. At least you're honest, man. It's good to be transparent. Sailor Vates, Vanessa, asks what your advice is for a first comp.
Oh man, don't weight cut. 100% don't weight cut. Unless you want to have the least amount of fun, because that just sucks. Meet people who are going to become your friends, because they will become your friends, likely, if you're a nice person. Aim to have fun. Lift numbers that you know you can hit, and just aim to have it be a good experience where like you're just doing a meet. You're not trying to put too much expectation on yourself. You're just going in to have fun. You know, hopefully you've been trained to competition standards, so it's a little bit easier transitioning into it. Maybe get a coach if you have the financial means for it. Yeah, I think that's really like it's everything.
Yeah, love it.
Oh yeah, and just do compete, like it's fun.
Yeah, it is a fun time, and I think the people make it, honestly. Like everyone's so supportive of one another, I think.
If you don't take it too seriously, which you shouldn't for a first meet, it will be a lot of fun.
Yeah, love it. I think that covers both of the questions. She asked like, what tips do you have for beginner powerlifters?
Have fun. Yeah,
have fun.
Same things.
Yeah.
Find friends.
Yeah, find friends. Find people to live with.
Yeah.
It's good fun. Kazutu asks, what aspect of coaching you're most passionate about?
Yeah. Give me 1 second.
No, you're okay.
What am I most passionate about with coaching? Just seeing like people become things that like they didn't think they could be. Like you can, as a coach, see someone's potential, hopefully. And if you can see that they can do so much like more, and then you can kind of help them realize that themselves, and then it starts to like feel so much more like, I guess, like, what's the word I'm looking for? Like they feel
empowered?
Empowered. You empower them because you show them they can do something that you know they can do that they couldn't see themselves. I think that's a very good aspect of it.
Yeah, I love that. Love that so much. Zion asks, what helped you become a better coach?
Being a shit coach.
Being a shit
Make mistakes, learn what doesn't work.
Yeah.
And then eventually, like, through the path of, like, deduction, you learn what does work.
Yeah, amazing.
But also just, like, communicating and, like, listening to what people are actually saying and then taking that on board, but also knowing when to, like, not take it on board because some people, like, will think certain things that aren't true.
Awesome. Is there anything you'd like to end on?
Thank you for having me on the podcast.
Oh, thank you.
Sorry if I said anything really inappropriate.
No, you're okay. Yeah, what the hell? Nah, it's been a pleasure having you on the podcast. I think it's like a really refreshing perspective in terms of like you were this well-renowned like deadlifter and everyone really sort of like put you on a pedestal and glorified it, but you've taken this sort of approach where it's like fuck me, it put me through a lot of torture and pain and suffering. Yeah, and you're almost recommending against it because like you put your body through so much.
Don't do it the way I did it because it was a very short-term strategy and I knew it because that was the plan. But
yeah, exactly. And I think like that perspective is so refreshing as well because a lot of people would be like, oh my God, like this is amazing. This is the best thing ever. But like in hindsight, you're looking back at it and you're like, maybe this wasn't, you know.
It wasn't even hindsight. It was at the time. I was like,
at the time, you knew. Okay, yeah. Yeah, and I think like I really appreciate you opening up about sort of your career trajectory and like how it probably differs from like a majority of the population in this current day and age going into uni and just slaving away sort of in something that makes their life sort of mundane. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think you asked like which anything I want to end on, like it's okay to feel lost. I think that's really the message. Like, you know, your path isn't going to look the same as everyone else's path. And as long as you're like putting in work to like get what you want to be, I think you'll be fine. Just keep going.
Love it. You can find Chris's socials in the show notes below. But if you want to follow at Life with Lamb podcast on Instagram, that would mean an absolute world. Oh my God, I can't speak today. That would mean the absolute world to me. And I'll catch you in the next episode. Bye-bye.